Hello, 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 everybody. Yes, we got one of our guests in the building. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, just waiting on one of our authors, folks, but welcome. Okay. Great, great, great. Let me start letting. Yay! We got Shola in the building. Yay! We got Nicole in the building. Hey, y'all. How you doing?
Hi,
Oh my
how
gosh.
are you? Hey, Shola.
Hello.
Hello, hello. Oh my gosh, I am so excited to see you both. I'm so excited to meet you, Nicole. I don't think we've ever actually met, so it's nice to see you. And yeah, hello everyone who is in the audience. I know y'all are gonna come in and out. Um, let me read the spiel so we can get to the thing that we actually really want to get to, which is this dope conversation between Shola and Nicole. So, peace, everyone. My name is Alexa Patrick, and I am the programs director of Shout Mouse Press. If you are unfamiliar with us, we are a nonprofit writing program and publishing house that is committed to amplifying underheard voices. And so that means that we work with young people between the ages of 12 to 24 from historically marginalized communities to help them write and publish books. Our books are for audiences as young as toddlers, with our mini mirror series that we are featuring today, and then they go up to young adult audiences. And to date, we have 60 titles and over 135,000 books in circulation. So we've been busy. And so we welcome to the Intergenerational Author Chats with Nicole and Lewis and Shola Chantel Shoda. This is the third installation of this IG series, which is a celebration of Shout Mouse's 10-year anniversary. So if you missed the first two chats, there was one that was between one of our authors from Voces Sin Fronteras, that's Santos, and our newest megaphone board, Jose Olivares, and then also one between Sasa Akil from Eye in the Night Sky and Safia Ahilu. So we have recordings of those chats on our page, and so after you watch this and get all the nourishment that you need from it, then you can move on and watch those as well, because they're fantastic. And then otherwise, a transcript of all of these chats are actually going to be published in an upcoming anthology that'll be coming out next year in 2025. And this anthology is a celebration of Shout Mouse's 10 years of work and all the amazing stories that have come through the young people who have been involved in our programming. Whew. Okay, that is your spiel. But I want to introduce our guests. We have Nicole and Lewis in this virtual building. She is a social entrepreneur and founder of the nonprofit Generation Hope. As a teen mother, she put herself through the College of William and Mary, starting as a freshman when her daughter was just 3 months old. She has been named a CNN hero and won the Rosalind S. Jaffe Award. She has appeared on CNN, NBC Nightly News, Good Morning America, and many others. And her journey has been covered in the Washington Post, the Baltimore Sun, Teen Vogue, the Chronicle of Higher Education, and others. And then you should connect with her on Twitter at Nicole Lynn Lewis. And we're also especially excited about this conversation because, as it mentions in her bio, Nicole Lynn Lewis is the founder of Generation Hope, who was our nonprofit partner for the Mini Mirrors board book series that Shola is a part of. Speaking of, Shola Chantel Shoda is a recent graduate of Trinity Washington University. And the mother of a 6-year-old boy named Sebastian. She is a Washington, D.C. native and is currently pursuing a master's in Black Studies at Morgan State University. And then we have a Sebastian sighting. Oh my gosh, the best. This is her first book. Shola wrote this book to depict the early years of being a teen mother, raising her son with the help of her community. So without further ado, I welcome Shola and Nicole Lynn Lewis. Okay, and so what I'm going to do is, and this is going to be before I just go off camera completely and allow y'all to chat. I'm going to start off with a little icebreaker question. And my icebreaker question will be, I think I'm going to stay in line with the same icebreaker that we've been using for all of these, which is, what is a song that reminds you of home?
I guess I'll go first. The song "Living My Best Life" by Chance the Rapper. So like it's very positive and like it got me through really hard times, especially raising my son. And yeah, it just reminds me constantly that like no matter where you come from, like there's always a piece of positivity as you keep moving along in life.
I love that. I love that one. We are big dance party people in my house, so we love to have dinner and then a dance party will break out. So it's really like any good dance party song. But one that comes to mind is Pharrell Williams' "Happy" is a song that we love to dance to at home.
I'm sensing a theme here. These like happy dance kind of vibes. I dig it. Also, you gotta invite me to these dance parties. It sounds like fun. Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you both again for doing this. I'm gonna go off camera, and I believe we're starting off with Shola reading her book.
Yes. All right. Okay. All right. So. Sebastian's Apartment Family by Taylor Bronner, Sarah Ivy, and Shola Chantel Shoda. Illustrated by Jordan Flood. We wrote this book for the villages that help to raise our children. My name is Sebastian. I live here with my mom. She's a student, and I'm her son. During the day, when mommy goes away, I go to our neighbors to play. On Mondays, I stay with Mr. and Mrs. Howe. He's a writer. He reads me poetry out loud. On Tuesdays, I see Mr. and Mrs. Ivy. Their parents fly around and say hi to me. On Wednesdays, we go over to Mrs. Shoda's. We make doubles. She says, I'll show you. On Thursdays, I go to visit the Browners. I like playing with their 2 daughters. On Fridays, mommy's off, so we beat our feet. We dance the go-go and we eat fun treats. On Saturdays, we make things clean and neat. Sebastian, mommy says, don't sweep my feet. Oh. So you can see like little pictures of Sebastian, and that's supposed to be me and Sebastian there. I don't know if you guys can see. On Sunday, it's church. We get all dressed up. Grandma comes to pick us up. I hope you enjoy your week with me. And now you met my apartment family. When mommy has to go and a new week begins, it's not goodbye. It's I'll see you again. The end. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. How was that experience writing that book, Shola?
For me, it was a lot, and it was what I mean by a lot, like very emotional because it kind of made me reflect on the journey of being a teen parent and what the book represents once they like release the book. And so it was just very emotional to just see it come to life and also being able to express just like the small little details that people don't really think about when raising a child.
Mm. I love that. I think it's like such a reminder of like our voices need to be in the world, right? Because when you know you're living life and you're raising your little one, and you know, like you said, all the kind of small details that you think only you notice, and then when you release your book out into the world, people pay attention to those small details, and those are the things that make the story beautiful and rich and all of those things. So I totally get it, and it is emotional. It's like birthing a baby into the world, and you're hoping everybody likes it. So it's really beautiful, wonderful job.
Thank you. So, I know that you have wrote at least two books from my understanding. So, you know, wait, I'm getting ahead of myself because I have so many questions. I have so many thoughts. You know me, like my brain is always on like 100. So, uh, I think that if I'm not mistaken, you should be able to share your piece as well.
Yeah, I'll read. Yes.
Sebastian.
Well, it's a good segue. It's a good segue because I'm going to read from my book, Pregnant Girl.
Mm.
And this was released in 2021, and it's my experience of being a teen mom. So, Shola, really great segue talking about your experience as a teen mom and the journey, the everyday. This book is all about my experience and also really pulling in the experiences of our scholars. And Shola is a alum of our program, and so it really ties in nicely to your writing. I'm going to read from the chapter Two Pink Lines. And you'll see I have lots of like placeholders because I'm constantly like reading excerpts and meeting with people and talking about the book. So I'll read a little bit from chapter 4 called Two Pink Lines. The two pink lines form quickly and clearly. I was 2 weeks late and my breasts were sore. The other attempts to determine if I was pregnant, like trying out Bree's theory that there are more bubbles in your pee when you're expecting, didn't seem reliable. So I went to Kmart and I bought a test. Looking through the different types of tests, trying to avoid eye contact with other customers and the cashier, and rushing back to my parents' station wagon in the nearly empty parking lot was an out-of-body experience. It was 3 o'clock in the afternoon, right after school. I'd paged Rakeem and told him to meet me at my house. He had swung his Cadillac into my parents' driveway, noise emanating from the gigantic subwoofers installed in his trunk. It was odd to be there together at that time of day. The house was quiet. The bright afternoon sunlight made patterns on the walls and on the furniture in the family room behind us. He stood next to me, smelling familiar. The shampoo he used to wash his dreads that morning was still fragrant, and if I had dug my fingers into his scalp, I would probably have felt his roots were still damp. The smell of Newports and Black and Milds, too, always on his breath and seeped into the fabric of his clothes. He was a mixture of sweet and bitter, endearing and repelling. I had the small white plastic square in my hands, and the two of us watched the pink line surface, light at first and then darker, like watching magic. Pregnant. A hot, fleshy, intense aching. That's what I felt, like someone had shot me right where the baby was supposed to be. I exhaled slowly, letting my chest sit empty for a moment, almost as punishment. I needed to feel the physical sting of what had just ripped through my heart, the painful clarity that I was now instantaneously different, inherently bad. Other. I was one of those girls eroding the American family and American society and disappointing everyone who ever cared about me. It happened quickly and without question or hesitation. The transformation from good to bad girl, from right to wrong, from destined for greatness to destined for failure. The moment, even in its swiftness, sent a shockwave through me, defining me wholly and completely.
I'm sitting here just like letting it digest because I'm in my brain, I'm like visualizing every word that you've said. And like some of those pieces kind of resonated with me, especially when I found out I was pregnant with Sebastian. So like I love the fact that like you said so much and so little within those few words that you said. So yeah.
No, I appreciate that. I feel like so many of us who experience a pregnancy young, like that's a moment we'll never forget. Like where you were, what was happening around you, who was with you, how you felt when you discovered, that you were pregnant. And I wanted to do that moment justice and like really describe the emotions, describe what was happening, the sunlight patterns, like everything, so people could like really be there in the moment. And I feel like that's the challenge of writing, or one of the many challenges of writing. And you do it really well, and kind of just talking about dressing up for church and, like really pulling people into those details, like you said, so that they feel like they're in the moment with you.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I feel like how you said earlier, how some people tend to not notice the minor details. But for us as moms, those are like the biggest thing that we pay attention to. Everybody else
Yeah.
sees from a window looking in, while we're the ones looking at the little details, creating this human being that eventually goes out into the real world and uses those little details that we focus on to create something bigger.
Yes. I
So
love that.
that segue into my next question for you, because I have so many questions and I'm so excited because like for me this conversation is more along the lines of like something personal, something dear to my heart, especially talking to you. I know I didn't give my introduction, but hey, my name is Shola Chantel. Not only am I an author for Shout Mouse Press, but I'm also an alum for Generation Hope. I was kind of there to see Nicole grow, and
Yeah.
also she's been there with me throughout my journey as well, which is very exciting. And I don't know, I'm just filled with joy. So, in order to go to our next segue, my question to you is: we know that Shout Mouse invites authors to write pieces that are inspired by their own lived experiences, especially those that are shown in the stories around them. Have you seen a story like yours represented before? And how did it impact your decision writing your book?
Yeah. So no, I didn't. One of the reasons I wrote Pregnant Girl was because there weren't enough stories about teen mothers overcoming the odds, teen parents overcoming the odds. A lot of what was out there was maybe more focused on the health aspects of a teen pregnancy. There were books that talked about teen pregnancy, like in a graphic novel form. There wasn't necessarily, or kind of like a how to go to college as a young parent, how to graduate from high school as a young parent, or parenting skills and parenting tips. There weren't stories out there that really were written to inspire, written with the kind of like walking along the journey with someone and really talking about going to college and completing college. And I think that's part of the reason that people don't think about making sure that teen parents can go on and complete their education, because there just aren't enough stories about it. We don't have enough people talking about it. And it really reinforces this stereotype that teen parents don't want to go to college. They don't care about college, right? They don't care about their education. So I wrote Pregnant Girl because there weren't enough stories out there that were really encouraging young parents to continue on, especially in a memoir type of form. And that was really important to me. I felt like, especially in doing this work at Generation Hope, working with incredible students like you, Shola, and others, it was so important that we have stories out in the world that really showed the incredible determination, the incredible hard work, and the incredible potential that young parents have. And so I felt like Pregnant Girl could help to fill that gap.
Mm. So what I'm hearing is that you wanted to fill that gap to show that like there's just more than just a statistic. Like you wanted to show that visual image of what not only it means to be a teen parent, but also how to overcome it, how you can overcome it, and that like that's not just one solo journey, that you wanted to share your not ideas but like your experiences to inspire others. And like I really appreciate that, especially because I have the book, I've read it twice. Twice. Each time I've read the book, I've always gained something different from that experience. And it kind of motivated me to not only stop what I'm doing where I am now, but to also continue. And it also made me visualize that like my story has a place. It doesn't just belong
Mm,
on my head or the right now. It has a place where I can not only inspire other people, but also motivate me to continue doing what I need to do.
yes, I love that. Yeah, I one of the big things that I wanted to do with Pregnant Girl was honor journeys like yours, journeys like mine, and really encourage more people to tell their stories. And so it never fails when I go out and I talk about Pregnant Girl, or I talk about the work that I do at Generation Hope. I have someone come up to me, usually emotional, tears in their eyes. This was my story. I was a teen mom. I got pregnant in high school, or I was a teen father. And I just never felt like I could talk about it, because of the shame and the stigma that is associated with it. And I'm really honored that I get to be in a position through the book and through the work that we do at Generation Hope to give people permission and invite people to tell their stories and to not feel like they have to be silenced. And to your point, to feel like there is a place in the world for your story. And the reality is the world needs our stories. We need to hear about more people's journeys. So I'm really happy that Pregnant Girl is doing that out in the world.
Yes, I'm so excited. Like I might end up sitting down reading the book again. All right. So I think it's your turn to ask a question if I'm not
Oh, is
mistaken.
it?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, goodness. Okay, let me pull it up. Well, I'm pulling it up. I'm going to ask you, I'll just ask you a version of what you asked me, which
Mhm.
is really like, as you think about your book, um, do you feel like it is kind of building on stories that you have seen, or do you feel like you were able to really fill a gap and tell your story, tell a story that needed to be out there?
I think for Sebastian's apartment family, me and my co-authors really wanted to focus on a part of the journey of being a mom that no one really focuses on. Everybody talks about the pregnancy piece, everybody talks about raising your kids, but they don't really talk about who helps you. What's that village? You hear that phrase over and over again, like, oh, it takes a village to raise a kid. And so when we were sitting down trying to create this book, we thought about what does it mean to have a village. So, so we really didn't see that idea out into the open. So when we sat down, we was like, what does a village look like? How are we able to use our village to help us raise our child? So especially working full time, being a student full time, and being a mom full time, it's very difficult when you sit down and think about it. You can't just solely rely on yourself to do all those things at once. So you have to rely on the people around you. So when me and Sebastian would go to the library, we couldn't really find books that represented what we were going through or what I depended on while going to school and working a full time. So Shop Mouse Press helped me take that experience and put it on paper. So like within 10 days, and with the story coach and an illustrator, we were able to not only create our ideas, narrow it down to one idea, but we were able to put that on paper and express our ideas so that other kids can also see what it means to have a village and why it is so important to your mom or your family members, why you need that village.
Mm, that's great. I it's so exciting to go into a bookstore or a library and feel like, hey, that's my story, that I'm reflected on these shelves. And I think it's great that now you and Sebastian have that, your co-authors have that, but also that other people can say like, oh, this is my kind of story, right? This is a reflection of my life and the village that I'm trying to create for my kiddos and my family. I do have my act together now, so I see my question, Shola.
Okay. Ooh, did I freeze?
Uh-oh, is she frozen?
Yes.
Oh,
She's
Oh,
okay.
there you go.
Wait.
You're back.
Okay.
You're
Go
back.
ahead.
oh, I'm sorry. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I was saying, what is the most exciting thing about writing?
Um, the most exciting thing for me is seeing my ideas on paper come to life on paper. Um, Also creating a book that speaks to an experience that hasn't been spoken about before. So like, I wanted to really see how I can take this idea of building a village and putting it on paper, but not only for an adult to see it, but also for kids. Because it's a one thing to talk about a village to an adult. When you say a village, people automatically assume like, okay, use the people around you. But in order to take that idea of having a village and shaping it to where kids can understand it was a whole new experience for me. Um, because now kids can actually recognize that, like, when they pick up this book, they're like, oh my God, it's something similar that I go through at home. Oh my goodness, mommy, we live in an apartment building too. Oh my God, mommy, we go visit so and so that lives in an apartment building. And I think like that's the cool aspect of it. Just seeing that your idea is not only put onto paper, but also see that you are reaching multiple audience to get your point across, which is really cool.
That is
Yeah.
really cool. Awesome.
So throw the question back onto you. What do you find most exciting about writing your story?
Hmm. I think it's the ability to connect with people. I love people. I love hearing about people's journeys and their stories. I find like writing to be a way to connect with more people who you might never actually meet in person, but you can have this really deep connection with them through the book, through the writing. And so many people have come up to me, they've read Pregnant Girl, and they're like, oh my gosh, I feel like I know you. I feel like, we went through similar things. You helped me through a really rough time, or you helped me kind of process something that I hadn't processed. And that's just really exciting to me that there is this deep connection that can happen when we tell our stories and we're impacting people we may never even meet. People who read your book may really be deeply impacted and touched by it and feel seen by it, and have never met you. And just the fact that those connections can be happening and they're very intimate. I feel like Pregnant Girl touches on so many things like love and shame and stigma and struggle and all of those things. And it really resonates with people in a way that is pretty amazing. And so I think it's what excites me is just the ability to speak to people's hearts and connect with people who I may never be able to actually like shake their hands and say hello, but we've had this deep connection through the book and through my writing. So I think that is something that never ceases to amaze me when I meet someone who's read Pregnant Girl and they're like, oh my gosh, this was, um, a great book, or it helped me get through this rough time. I'm deeply honored by that.
As you were talking, I was also thinking of permanence. So, like, you putting it on paper is permanent. So that means it's able to pass down from generation to generation. Not only this generation will be able to see your story, but also be able to pass it down so that your voice can live on without it being misconstrued or misunderstood because you wrote it down. And I think
Yes,
that's a really big piece too that I took away from writing this book is the fact that like now not only am I telling a piece of my story, but I'm also sharing it with everybody else even long after I pass away. You know? So yeah.
yes, it's lasting.
Hmm.
Yes. Okay, is it my turn?
Yes.
Okay. Is this? I think this is my question, which is, what do you wish that you knew as a young writer?
Wait, hold on, pause. Go back. I think it's me. My bad. So it's, what do you find the most difficult about writing, and how do you overcome it?
What
Any
do I
first?
find most difficult about writing, and how do I overcome it? The hardest thing for me about writing is finding the time. Um,
Mm,
I am a mom of five, so on a daily basis, I'm juggling the wants and needs of five human beings. My oldest is 25, but she's still high maintenance. So yeah, I'm mothering all day long, and then I'm also running an organization and making sure that we are having impact and serving our families the best that we can. And so at the end of the day, I often hit the pillow and I'm just exhausted. And so that is hard. Like, how do
mm,
you carve out the time and really be disciplined around your writing? When I get in front of a computer and I get in the zone and I'm writing, I love it. It helps me. It's like a release. I love to write, but it's like getting to the computer, sitting down, having the quiet, having the solitude, carving that time out on a regular basis is probably the hardest thing. When I was writing Pregnant Girl, um, I was writing during COVID, like the world was just starting to turn upside down.
mm,
And so in some ways that was really hard because like everyone, we were trying to figure out how to serve our families, what our scholars needed in that moment. We were trying to figure out as an organization, like there was a lot of uncertainty around COVID. And then on the other hand, I was home, right? And I had the ability to carve out a bit of time in a way that I wouldn't if it was kind of the normal, running out of the house every day, 9 to 5. So it was a weird time to be writing. Like, I had the time to
yeah.
write, but then my mind was kind of pulled in other directions. So sometimes it's also like what's happening in the world, what's happening with your family. Like, can you actually pull yourself away to really focus on writing? But for me now, the biggest challenge is probably like carving out the time.
I agree, especially now that I'm in a master's slash PhD program,
Yes.
teaching full time. So like, it is so hard to find time to sit down and write and actually like think. And then if I get an idea, if I don't write it down immediately, it disappears. So then like going back and forth. So I completely understand. Mm.
Yes, I have started this thing where if I have a thought or something, I'm like, oh, I got to make sure I write about this, or a title of something. I text it to myself so that I won't forget it. To your point, because it'll go in one ear
Hmm.
out the other, or it'll just be lost 10 minutes later. So that is something I've started to do. But then you got to come back around and find the time to actually write about
Yeah,
it.
I agree. So I guess I'll answer the question too. So what I found most difficult writing this book, Sebastian Apart Family, is we had three authors. So we had to come up with one idea in 10 days with the story coach and illustrate it within those 10 days. Um, it was kind of easy on our end because we had one thing in common and we knew we wanted to talk about our kids. And so we had like five different ideas. One idea was like a spaceship. Like it was like so many ideas, but one that we really wanted to hone in on was focusing on what our village looked like and what does it represent to us specifically as not only college students but single parents raising kids, all working while doing all these other great things that we're doing. So like that was the biggest challenge for us. So like we had to come to one agreement. Then on top of that, we had to figure out what did we want our book to look like while being child friendly. It's one thing to write a book for the adults where like you can use big words, big phrases, and things like that. But when you're working with kindergartners and pre-K 3, pre-K 4, you have to make it where it makes sense, but also your message doesn't get lost. And I think that was the key thing that we were focusing on, making sure our message did not get lost. So like we had like we had a big sticky note on the middle table, and we had the main idea of like to build to I think it said something like to build a village. And every time we got off track, we went back and we were like, no, we need to talk about this. What does our village look like? How do we use our village? So like we really wanted to hone in on that. And I think that was the enjoyment piece for me, just seeing the fact that like I wasn't alone, but also that like we all had similar experiences, even though our kids were like different ages, which is really cool.
I love that. I can't even imagine how hard it would be to write with other authors. It's already hard to write on your own, but like when you
Mm-hmm.
have to collectively make decisions and like collectively, decide which way the story is going to go, that is a skill. And so, but you all pulled it off beautifully.
And we were so excited. Like we was like so particular about the pictures. We like, no, it has to look like this. Like even when, let me see if I can find it. So like even at the end, when you see, I don't know, if you see like the apartments at the end, we made it very clear that we wanted all the family members in the apartment to show like
Oh,
way to show like how they supported Sebastian and his mom. And so like every single picture, every single word had a meaning. Even when I was reading it, you'll notice towards the end, like there was little rhymes, and then the picture kind of represent how Sebastian interacted with the family. It was just really cool. Like we just thought about every single little detail, and I don't know, I just get really excited every time I talk about it. It's really cool.
as you should, as you should. Awesome. So is that my question? I think was like, what do you wish that you knew as a young author? Is that me or is that you?
See, this is where I get confusing. So at this
Well,
point, we
how
just
about
want
this? What do you wish that you knew going in, like before you wrote the book that you know now?
the impact, how big the impact would be. So in my brain, I was just like, okay, I'm gonna write a book. It's just gonna go. It is what it is. Like that you just. I don't really think people that you may have, especially when writing something, because I'm so used to just writing a paper, turn it in. It is what it is. I like may never see it again. But for this specifically, for this book, the impact really hit home for me. Because I know Alexa has a video, so like we got our books, we opened the box, and I sent her a video of Sebastian like smiling. He's like, Mommy, look, it's me. Look, it's about me. And like that kind of brought joy to me. It made me excited because not only is my child excited to see a book of himself, but also within like the next week, he took it to school and he was running around passing out copies to people. And he was like,
Oh,
"This is my book, my book." So like he was really excited to not only see himself but share the story that it told. And so like down the hallway, he was like, "I'll sign your book. I sign your book." So like I really saw how big of an impact it was, not only to him but also at the time when I received the book. I was a kindergarten teacher and I kind of passed it out as a gift. Till this day my kindergartners are in first grade. This makes me feel old, but they're in first grade now and they still talk about the book, which is really cool to see. And to see how not only were they able to keep the book but also that they understood the message. And like I feel like that's the biggest thing that I can ask for, is that yes, I can talk about, okay, building a village, okay, what it means to be a single parent, but it's a whole nother thing for somebody to actually pick up the book and understand what you've gone through and see the similarities to their life and also compare it to themselves. And then I don't know, just finding the joy, which I found it was just so awesome to see.
that is so cool. What a gift to your son too, to be able to, have his story featured, but also to have his mom be a published author. And it's just such a gift to him to see what's possible and to also like instill a love of writing and reading in him in a really magical way. So that's so cool. Really
So
cool.
what is something that you wish that you did I answer this right? What is something that you wish you knew as a young writer?
Um, I think it goes back to just like I think when I was younger, I've always loved to write, My mom used to call me the paper eater around the house because I would just like take paper from anywhere, a grocery list, anything, and I would just start writing poetry on the back of it, or, you know, any notebook was like totally filled. So I've always loved to write, and I think I always like questioned my writing, like, was it good enough? And was, you know, and I was, my first piece was published when I was 11. So clearly I was a good writer, but I think just always kind of feeling like, I don't know if it's good enough, right? And so I would tell my younger self to like believe in the power of my voice and to feel good about my writing and to not doubt whether it was good enough, and to just, if I could have told my younger self, one day you will be a published author, like you will have a book out in the world, I mean, I think that would have saved me a lot of like, is this the right thing? And let me rewrite the sentence a million times. But yeah, I think and it's not just about writing. I think just in life, as we're growing up, we doubt ourselves a lot and we question whether we're good enough or whether we're worthy of X, Y, and Z. And I think just I wish that I would have seen early on that I was a strong writer and that my voice, you know, deserved to be out in the world, would be a big thing that I would tell my younger self.
I agree. I completely agree. I love the fact that you bring up the confidence piece. And I think the confidence piece actually shows into your writing and the way you speak and the way you carry yourself. I feel like our journey has its meaning. So, say if you was confident at the very beginning, would you really publish a book? Would you?
Right.
You like? Yeah, I feel like based off what you're saying, I'm thinking of like my journey happened for a reason, and I have to take it whether it has its faults, whether it the good, the bad. But like that journey made me who I am today, and made me express who I am, and help me, write the book
Yes.
to help express those ideas. So I think that's like really cool, and I think that's really resonating with me, especially as I'm still going through my journey and still trying to figure out what do I want to do, how do I feel about certain things. I just always have to remember that every piece that happens for a reason, even though sometimes we may not know why,
So
but
true.
it happens for a reason. So yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So true.
So we had the opportunity to share our work with a lot of different audiences. Is there any experience that you have had sharing your work that stands out to you or that has been particularly moving?
Oh my gosh, there's so many experiences. Um I remember when I first released the book, the book first came out, I was on NPR and I was doing an interview for the book. And not long after the interview aired, I got an Instagram DM from someone who said, I heard you on the radio. I heard you talking about your new book. And I literally had to pull over on the side of the road because I was crying so hard.
Mm,
And she was saying she was crying because she was a teen mom. It was the first time she had heard anybody really voicing their experience in that way. And so that was like immediately, like I think days after releasing the book that happened. But a more recent one, we work with at Generation Hope. We work with our scholars, our student parents who are in college right now, and then we also work with colleges and universities to help them better serve parenting students. And one of our institutions, our partner institutions, is College Unbound, which is an institution that is serving students in multiple states, including Providence, Rhode Island. And I went and was meeting with the president of College Unbound, and we were talking and meeting other faculty and staff at the school. And a professor came up to me, a member of the faculty, and said that she was teaching Pregnant Girl as a part of her curriculum, her English class in a women's prison. And these are all women who are working towards a bachelor's degree through the College Unbound program while incarcerated. And she said that she doesn't normally, teach a book over and over, but she's been teaching my book each semester. And has found it has just resonated so much with the students in her class. And she had handwritten notes, letters from these women who had read Pregnant Girl as a part of her class. And I literally was like fighting back tears because it was just amazing again to see how far reaching the book has been, and to know that it's inspiring women who are trying to figure out what life looks like as they're navigating incarceration and trying to figure out, how to move forward, how to realize their dreams. And so it was just again a moment of really just being humbled by the position, of being a published author and being out in the world in that way. And so, but yeah, there are things that happen all the time that I'm just like, what? Like this is crazy that the book is reaching people and touching people in this way.
I, I like that. I like that. I really do. 'Cause I'm sitting here like really digesting what you said. I really like the fact that you took the time to actually acknowledge. Because most authors, yes, you write the book. Okay, people tell you about the experience and they move on. But you took your time to actually acknowledge not only your experience but somebody else's experience. And
Mhm.
I think that's what kind of made me gravitate towards the fact that, like, okay, she actually treats, she's not sitting on this pedestal of, oh, I wrote a book and I'm better than you guys. You're actually using this as a means of, yes, I'm just like you. I'm a normal person just like you who have these experiences. And I think that's like the biggest takeaway I've been taking away from both of your books that I've read, is that it's okay to be human. And I
Yeah,
think sometimes people forget that it's okay to be human. And I think that's really cool. For
thank you for
me,
that.
for me, one experience that also resonated with me when I wrote my book was the simple fact that being a kindergarten teacher for a while last year, and I passed out my books to the students. Their immediate reaction was to sit down and read the book. And I think it finally dawned on me at that moment that I've really published something, but also that, like, there's people out there that are willing to not only sit there and read your book, but also digest and kind of like take in the experience. Like, these kids were so excited to read the book. Like, the way I read the book, they had so many questions. So I know in the book I talked about doubles. They was like, Miss S, what is doubles? And I explained to them, like, it's a part of my Trinidadian culture and food. And so, like, it brought up so many other experiences because they start talking about how different foods that they know. They talked about where they live, and I just love the fact that, like, it was a starting point for like a bigger conversation. And I think that's the piece that I took away from
Mm,
the book. That, like, that was just the starting point. Even for little kids, that was just a starting point to just something bigger that they actually recognize without knowing. And I think that kind of filled my heart more than anything else, especially because I'm not only a teacher, but like just seeing kids in general enjoy the fact that, like, they want to read. So
yeah.
yeah.
I love that. I think, especially with your book, I can see like people reading it right away, right? Because it's a children's book. They can like sit down immediately and like jump into it. And what an honor! Like whenever I see people who have, like a bookmark in Pregnant Girl, or they're coming up and saying, "I read it." And in your case, they're reading it right in front of you. I find that just to be an honor. It never gets old. I never take it for granted. We're all so busy. And
Mm.
when people tell me they've taken the time to read Pregnant Girl, I'm always like, wow, that someone would do that. So in your case, when they like grab the book from you and start reading right away, like that is just the coolest feeling to see somebody reading something that you've worked on.
Yeah, I really like that.
Okay, I think this is my question, which is who.
A cliffhanger.
Oh,
Oh, can you say
Oh,
that
okay,
again,
I'm back.
please?
I'm sorry. Who or what do you write for?
uh, okay. Wait, give me 2 seconds because I didn't realize my phone was about to die. Uh, uh, hold on. Okay, so the question is, who do I write for? Okay, so I not only write for the voices of teen parents who are not seen, but also for the people who rewrite. I also write for the people who feel as though they do not have a voice at all. Specifically teen parents. When you think of teen parents, people go to the stereotypes of not wanting to work, relying on the system, or just not taking care of the kids at all. But that's not the case. I kind of write to destroy those stereotypes, but also to give us a voice to tell our stories. So even though this is a children's book, me and my co-authors were able to voice what we saw, what we have gone through, specifically raising our kids, being in college, working a full time, having multiple kids, and still being able to succeed and to be able to further on challenge not only ourselves but our kids in the future.
Awesome. I think similarly for me, I am writing for, I wrote Pregnant Girl for young parents who I wanted to inspire and encourage and to know that they're seen and they're loved and they're celebrated. And then I also was writing for anybody who's in a position to remove barriers for that population. So people who are working in schools, whether it's K through 12 or college, people who are creating policies at the county or local, state, federal level that can benefit this population, researchers, advocates, anybody who can remove barriers. And in reality, that's all of us. All of us can be champions for young families. All of us can create change for young families. And so I wanted to reach both audiences. So that's why in Pregnant Girl, there's a lot of my story, but there's also a lot of statistics, a lot of research that really helps people see why it's not just about my story. It's about our scholars. It's about parents, young parents across the country who need change and need large scale change. So not always easy to write for dual audiences, but that was important to me in the book as well.
I really like that.
Uh, y'all, I've just been sitting with my hands like this, beaming at this conversation. It has been so lovely and heartwarming, and I thank you both for spending your Tuesday evening to engage in this really thoughtful discussion. You all are just such lights, and I appreciate you. And I'm going to sit with a lot of what you said. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And I will also say we have an exciting update on Shout Mouse's End. We are doing our next series of mini mirrors books in partnership with Generation Hope next year. It's happening. We're doing it again. Too fast, too furious. And yeah, so that'll happen for scholars involved with Generation Hope. If you are 24 or younger, you can participate. So feel free to reach out to your folks at Generation Hope to ask questions about how you can sign up. I would love to meet you. Um, and then otherwise, we'll also be providing a special discount code for our Mini Mirrors books. This is great for holiday gifts. I know we're like approaching Thanksgiving season, so we're like getting into it. Okay, so if you are looking for some last minute holiday gifts, then you can check out our social media page. Maybe starting tomorrow, we're going to post that code so that you can share these wonderful stories with the young people in your lives. Okay, I think that is it. Shola, Nicole, thank you so much. Again, I appreciate you. Again, I'm beaming.
Thank you for the opportunity,
Thank
Shola.
you.
So good to see you as always.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right. Y'all have a great night. Bye.
Bye.